podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Now entering the PNRNetworks arena, coming down the aisle from Revere, Massachusetts, weighing in at absolutely none of your business. It's the Mistress of Mayhem, the Queen of Quips. It's time for Ring Around the Rosie with your hostess, Kim Brown.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week here on Ring Around the Rosie. I am Kim Brown, aka Platinum Rose Lady, your hostess of this show. Day and date recording September 18th, 2019. Gonna jump right into things and talk about Clash of Champions, which was held this past Sunday in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Spectrum Center on Sunday the 15th of September, and it still feels really weird talking about a Clash of Champions show from the WWE. It's just like, why? That just sounds so wrong. It's just weird. We had the pre-show. We had Drew Gulak putting his Cruiserweight Championship going against Humberto Carrillo and Lince Dorado, with Drew retaining the belt from the three-way dance. Following that, we had AJ Styles defending the United States Championship against Cedric Alexander. I think that's insane. That was on the pre-show, but what are you going to do? AJ wound up winning that match, but I'm mad at AJ right now anyway because he's a heel and he's being a dick. So, I still don't get that. I'm really freaked out about that whole thing. The actual show kicked off with the Tag Team Championship for Raw, with the champions Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, who were going to be facing each other later on in the evening. With going against the team of Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. I have no idea what to call this team other than I don't care. I'm kind of thinking to myself, does I don't give a fuck really? I mean, it rolls off the tongue, but it's not really a great name for a tag team. The team of Roode and Ziggler did wind up winning, so now they are the tag team champions, so that's one belt that Seth's lost tonight, and it's one way that he's got, like Braun Strowman wasn't annoyed with him before, now it's really, next match was the match for the ladies, belt from SmackDown with Bayley going against Charlotte Flair. Okay, I'm confused. Now, I realize it's not, I know some people out there going, wow, there's a shock, you're confused. Yes, it doesn't take much to confuse me, I admit it. But I'm sorry, are there any actual faces in the women's division in the WWE anymore? I mean, it seems like everybody's a tweener or a heel. I mean, I don't get it. Charlotte's not exactly a face right now because she's still out there being like, real egotistical and all that stuff like that. Bayley's lost her fucking mind. Sasha Banks has come back and decided to be a bitch. I will get to that other thing later on. Don't worry, I'm not leaving that out. And I'm talking, everybody here, I'm talking character, not the person. But, and I don't get it. Becky Lynch is apparently a face again because that heel turn just did not stick at all. Although she's basically now this generation's, version of Stone Cold Steve Austin with boobs and more hair, I guess. The whole anti-authority thing, which is great. I have no problem with that. I mean, because one thing, Becky's an amazing wrestler and she's just fun as hell. So back to Bayley against Charlotte Flair. This was a weird match. Like, this is the dynamic, in the crowd felt wrong. I don't know how to explain this. I don't know. It just felt off kilter. like nobody really knew who to cheer for and who to boo for. So people were just arbitrarily just yelling shit. And I just really didn't get it. Bayley wound up winning over Charlotte Flair in North Carolina, and I was completely like, what the heck did I just see? I was completely, I mean, Bayley did cheat, but, I was completely floored with that one. I really thought that Charlotte was gonna take it, and I thought if Charlotte didn't take the belt, I thought there might be a riot. I'm not saying that I'm disappointed that there wasn't one, but I'm kind of surprised there wasn't one. The next match was the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder going against Big E and Xavier Woods, the champions coming into the match, for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The match wound up being won by the Revival, them winning by using a shatter machine on Xavier, and he wound up he was caught in a inverted figure four leg lock. So the belts went to the Revival. So now the people that have the tag team belts for both Raw and SmackDown are teams that I don't give a flying fuck about. So, yay, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying I wish the show was written exclusively to cheer me up, because goodness knows that we don't want to talk about what would involve with that, because oh, that would be a really filthy show. Moving on, we're over here now. And the next match was for the Women's Tag Team Championship with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, the champions. And that still just feels really odd to say. Going against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Now, Mandy Rose is really, really someone that reminds me of the people that I went to high school with that I really despised. Because they're, the blonde, perky people that think they're better than everybody else, and that really irritates the rest of us who aren't a bunch of shallow bitches. I was really, really actually happy to see Alexa and Nikki. Well, I was happy to see Nikki. I'm always happy to see Nikki. Sorry. As I've mentioned before, Supernatural family, we stick together. Alexa and Nikki wound up keeping their belts, which just felt really good to me, because Schadenfreude, look it up. Following that was the match for the Intercontinental Championship with Shinsuke Nakamura, the current champion, who is being accompanied now by Sami Zayn, because I don't know who Shinsuke pissed off in the back to get saddled with that albatross, going against The Miz, and it still feels truly bizarre to have The Miz as a face. Not that it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad, because it's not. Because Miz as a face is actually, he's quite good at being either a face or a heel. But I actually think he's funnier when he's a face. He comes up with some funny stuff. Sami Zayn, who's completely like, oh, The Undertaker beat me up, he's so mean and all that stuff with that. I'm like, buddy, you're lucky The Undertaker didn't pop your head like a zit. Because, I mean, anybody who thought that him standing in the ring with The Undertaker and it wasn't going to end badly for Sami, oh, bless you, you're a very optimistic person. Because he pissed off The Undertaker, and The Undertaker chokeslammed him to hell, and I laughed like a supervillain, because I do that because I might have a problem. Anyway, going back to the match, I actually thought this was probably one of the better matches on the card. Unfortunately, it didn't end cleanly, with having to deal with, Zayn's constant interference, because Nakamura needs that, right. Okay. I roll. The one point where Miz got a skull-crushing finale in on Shinsuke, Zayn grabbed the referee and stopped the count. Miz couldn't deal with it anymore, went after Sami, and Nakamura got him in the Kinshasa, got the pin, got the title, it retained the title. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, so for the most part, this pay-per-view is existing. Now the pay-per-view is just completely existing to piss me off. I'm like, okay, yeah, alright, I get it, fine. So I'm gonna have to just, I'm like, by the end of the pay-per-view, I'm like, I have to burn so much incense. I have to get all my crystals out. I have to burn a bunch of incense. I have to align everything. Following that was the Raw Women's Championship match with Becky Lynch against Sasha Banks. And, not for nothing, and I know that nobody asked my opinion, but it's my show, so fuck it. Why the fuck does Sasha Banks get a championship match? She's been gone for a while, now she's back, and all of a sudden she's getting a championship. Fucking why? Because she changed her hair color? Is that all it takes? Fuck that. I mean, crying out loud, then Natalya should, dye her hair like screaming pink, I guess, or something like that. Natty, please don't do that. If you hear this, not that I don't think you'd look great, but I think that the cat ears and screaming pink hair might be just a little bit much. Just saying. This was ugly. Not in a, messy, sloppy, bad way, but it was Alien Autopsy ugly in the fact that Becky Lynch was disqualified. I would like to bring Sasha started with the chair stuff, but Becky Lynch beat the holy living shit out of Sasha. Becky had unfortunately hit the referee and knocked him unconscious and wound up getting disqualified for that. After that happened, and let's be honest, for the most part, did anybody really care what happened to the referee? I mean, show of hands out there. Really? Yeah, I didn't think so. As I mentioned, Becky proceeded to beat the holy living frog snot out of Sasha Banks, and I may or may not have laughed like a supervillain for a very long time. Did I mention I might have a problem? Was a disqualification. Sasha did win by disqualification. Did not look like a winner at all. Unfortunately, it probably means that she'll get another title shot. Because I personally, I would think she wouldn't want it, seeing as how Becky almost tore her head off several times with the chair, and it was awesome. I could watch that on a loop for hours. Following that was Kofi Kingston going against Randy Orton. Kofi, of course, the WWE champion. This feud, please let this feud be over. Please. It's not that Randy Orton doesn't deserve to be in the title picture, but I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but when he and Kofi work together, it just doesn't gel. And it's not either man's fault. And I really wish I could figure out what it is that I dislike about this feud. Other than the fact that Randy's just being a jerk. But Randy's supposed to be a jerk. Randy's the heel. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. The match was won eventually by Kofi, with his finisher, Trouble in Paradise, so he was able to keep his belt. Unfortunately, a few days later, he got the shit kicked out of him by, Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar is going to be going to SmackDown. Yay. Why can't Brock Lesnar just go away? Just go back to UFC, go back to football, just go! We had a no disqualification match between Roman Reigns and Eric Rowan, which, since we knew it was a no disqualification match, we knew it was going to go all over the damn place, which it did. The issue was that towards the end of the match, as Roman was going for a spear, all of a sudden, for a minute I was like, did somebody jump the fucking barrier? What the fuck just happened? All of a sudden, Luke Harper appears out of nowhere and hits Roman with a boot and a clothesline, and because it's no disqualification, Eric Rowan was able to do the Iron Claw to, get a victory, and he and Harper then beat on Roman for a little while longer, and fuck Eric Rowan, and fuck Luke Harper. Fuck you both. I really don't want to see either of you, and you really fucking pissed me off. This was the point where I was like, okay, now we've ticked off that box, and my night is officially fucking ruined. The main event was Seth Rollins putting the Universal Championship, the other belt that he has, because he's not Seth 2 belts by the end of the evening, against his Braun Strowman, and this is, as you kind of figured, now you have a guy like Braun Strowman who is basically built like a tree, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. And the thing is, because Braun Strowman is, built like a shaved down Sasquatch, he tends to, make people look smaller compared to him. But Seth Rollins is not a small person. He's quicker. And that's not to slag on Braun, because for a big guy, he can move pretty quick. But Seth is, he's quicker, he's more agile, and so that made for a different, really interesting dichotomy during the match. The thing is, at one point, Braun obviously had hurt his leg, and Seth went in for 3 curb stomps, almost directly in a row, which almost got the pin a couple of times. When Braun went to execute a running power slam, his leg, which had been hurting after a jump off the top rope, it was weak and it gave out. And Seth used the pedigree, which I was like, oh, that was interesting. And another curb stomp to keep the title. So, pinfall. Still your champion, Universal Champion, even though it's only defended on one planet. Seth Rollins. Yes, I'm going to keep harping on that. I know. I'm a weirdo and I read too much science fiction. I know. So, we get Seth winning the match. We get Seth up at the top of the ramp, showing off the belt that he still has. And all of a sudden, shock of shocks. Oh my goodness, didn't see this coming. The lights go out. And we hear that familiar laugh, and when the lights come back up, there's the Fiend who has a hold of Seth and gives him a Sister Abigail and a mandible claw, and the pay-per-view ends, and fuck you. This pay-per-view gets a C+. I'm sorry. I sat there all night going, yep, I'm really getting fucked tonight. I could have been doing so much. I could have been doing other things. I could have been working on my embroidery. I could have been working on my writing. I could have been filing my nails. And I would be less fucking annoyed than I was with this fucking pay-per-view. Especially since everybody and their dog knew what was going to happen at the end of it. Everybody knew the Fiend was going to show up. And they have the colossal fucking nerve to act like, oh gosh, the announcers are like, oh my goodness, oh horrors, panic. Like we all didn't fucking see that coming. Fucking really? So, I'm sorry, C+, really irritated me a lot. There's some other stuff that happened at the pay-per-view and some things that have come out that happened before the pay-per-view that I would like to bring up. One of the things that happened at the pay-per-view, and it's been talked about a lot, was this person at the pay-per-view, a fan, that during the whole Becky-Sasha match, Sasha was outside the ring and was trying to get back over, she was getting back over the barrier, up against the barrier, I forget. And a fan either tried to grab her behind or did grab her behind. I really couldn't tell from what I saw. And this is not cool. This is not cool at all. There are talks there. I know Sasha's apparently talking about suing this person, And the WWE has said that if they find out who this person is, they're going to ban them from the building and, from shows and things like that. To which my response is, how? How are you going to find this person? I don't know. I really don't know how they intend to find this person, because good luck with that. I'm sure it's going to be very difficult to find a blonde white guy in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's going to be tough. But I really need to talk for a second about boundaries and people fucking respecting boundaries. There was an incident earlier this year at a lucha show where a fan grabbed a female wrestler by the breasts. And no. Fucking no. What the fuck is the matter with you people? I'm not saying that you shouldn't pat somebody on the shoulder unless they're in a match, because that's, sweaty, but, what in the fuck? I happen to think Roman Reigns is insanely, stupidly hot. Does that mean that the next time I see Roman, I should try and cop a feel or grab him by the crotch or something like that? Shit, no, it doesn't. You know why? Because that's a human being. And you treat other people with respect. For crying out loud. I do not understand people who think that, well, just because I paid a ticket, I get to grope somebody? Are you kidding me? Ugh. The other thing I want to talk about now, this is fucking serious. Not that that's not serious. What happened with Sasha, because I can understand why she's upset. I completely dig it. But Baron Corbin, who was crowned King of the Ring Monday night. Oh gosh, that hurts. Oh wow. I'm sorry. When I think of the people who have been King of the Ring, people like Bret Hart and Harley Race and Haku and people like that. And Baron fucking Corbin. Are you... wow. I'm sorry. Just wow. Corbin actually came out and said something in an interview that, he was talking about the pay-per-view before, one of the earlier pay-per-views this year, where he gave Becky Lynch an end of days. And how people were booing him and all this stuff like that, and how he was actually getting death threats. Actual, honest-to-goodness death threats. Not like, oh, I hope somebody, beats you up in the ring. People were saying that they were going to kill him. Don't do that. Do I have to say that? Do I really need to say that to adults? Really? This is performance art. This is not... This is the kind of shit that when people ask me if I'm a wrestling fan, I tell them I really like this company called AEW and I really like Japan and stuff like that. Because I'm afraid and ashamed to say that I'm a WWE fan sometimes because of shit like this. You don't tell somebody, I'm going to kill you. That is against the law. You can go to jail. You don't do that. They don't take that as, oh, that's just a fan blowing off steam. They don't do that anymore. That's some serious shit. And if you don't want the police or the feds showing up on your doorstep, don't do that. Baron Corbin is a persona. There's a person behind that persona. And you don't say, I'm going to kill you. That's crazy. Please, if you get that worked up about it, take a step back. If you get that worked up about anything, please, for the love of all that's holy and decent, take a step back. I don't care if it's sports or politics or Game of Thrones, although anybody would get worked up about that anymore. I wouldn't get it, but anything. If you get that worked up about it, please take a step back. If for nothing else, you might save yourself from having a stroke or whatever. I mean, seriously, think about stuff before you A, put it on the internet, or B, send it to somebody. Because that's serious stuff. And I really shouldn't have to tell this to adults. You know, I really, really shouldn't. Shit has gone really, really sideways when I have to be the voice of reason. I'm not fucking kidding. I have purple hair and have a rubber duck in my purse. If I'm the person that's being sensible, stuff has gone horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. So, that is going to wrap it up for my little old show this week here. If you have any questions, comments, queries, complaints, chocolate chip cookie recipes, anything that you want to send me, whatever, just want to write and say, hey, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like at platinumroselady@twitter.com. You could also check out all the awesome shows that are part of our little island of misfit toys. And they're really great shows. We have shows about movies and all kinds of other fun stuff. And we have other people that are part of our little family, including Eric and Valerie, and also our buddy Anthony Lamberti. We have some dramatic works out there. You can check out all this stuff on our homepage. And also, if you like my stuff, please like, share, subscribe. Do all that other computer jazz that I don't understand, but my husband tells me that I should tell people about because he's the smart person when it comes to stuff like that. I'm just the cute one. He's the brains behind things. I'm just the cute one. So, that is me for this week here on my show. And so this is Kim Brown signing off for another week here on Ring Around the Rosie. Hoping you have a great rest of your week. And may your roses always be in bloom. TTFN.
You have been listening to Ring Around the Rosie with Kim Brown, a production of PNRNetworks. Keep in touch with all things about the show at http://ringaroundtherosie.net. Ring Around the Rosie intro performed by Eric Lyon. Ring Around the Rosie theme by Digital Juice. Join Kim for a new Ring Around the Rosie every Wednesday. Ring Around the Rosie is copyright 2018 PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.